Hello everybody, welcome to the show today, guys. Finally, we are seeing real action taking place, and this is huge, guys. President Trump and his dream team, Jim Jordan, have just pushed for accountability, and it's finally happening. We've got new investigations and new lawsuits that have come forth against these rogue judges, as well as the Supreme Court, guys. Listen to this, Supreme Court, this is huge. From one of Trump's big dogs, and the new investigations that have just happened by our new Ed Martin U.S. pardon attorney, guys. This is nuts. So check this out. Trump's DOJ is investigating Biden's pardons and commutations over the use of the auto pen. Ed Martin, who is the pardon attorney, wrote that the investigation involves whether Biden was competent and whether others were taking advantage of him through use of the auto pen. And it's official. The investigations into the Biden auto pen and pardons are here, and it is not looking good for the Biden administration. But not only that, everybody, check this out. America First Legal, which is led by Stephen Miller, one of Trump's pit bulls, has sued Chief Justice John Roberts of the Supreme Court, guys. This is a big lawsuit. If there's anything that gets big, it's one thing to fight a district judge. It's another thing to sue a Supreme Court Chief Justice. And Robert J. Conrad, director of the Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts, he is suing them because of their blatant disregard and oversight over the presidential executive orders that Trump has been putting out. This is insane, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because we are getting into some serious fights across the board with the president and his cabinet team, as well as the judiciary branch of all the United States. We're talking about the federal district court judges, and now officially the America First Legal has sued a chief justice. This is big. So America First Legal, led by Stephen Miller, and I'm going to show you this in a moment, guys. We got the receipts. The lawsuit aims to place the Judicial Conference and Administrative Office under presidential oversight, alleging they exceed their judicial authority and engage in executive functions. The AFL claims these bodies align with Democratic efforts targeting conservative Justice Thomas and Alito, undermining judicial duties. So we see the bias. We see that these federal district judges are 100% biased towards the Democrats. The Supreme Court is doing nothing. So finally, we are suing Chief Justice John Roberts and Robert John Conrad for doing nothing. We want to get justice. We want Trump's agenda. The people voted for it, and it's finally happening. Also, guys, this is big. Promises made, promises kept. Trump has come out and said, yes, we are going to start sending more and more of the rescission packages to the House each and every day. What Elon Musk did during his time at Doge is super important to the furtherance of the United States and its success. Guys, House Freedom Caucus has reportedly ready to codify the $9.4 billion in Doge spending cuts into law that's already been sent, and Trump is already talking about another one. Guys, I'm super happy about reporting this because, again, too, we want to expose the fraud, waste, and abuse. We got the receipts for you. The Biden administration is going to be held accountable. The Democrats are crumbling, and we are finally putting America first. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers and viewers. Thank you so much for your support. We are so thankful for you allowing us to serve you every day with the top news. And if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button and joining our family here at TrueLife News. Guys, I'm telling you, we are living through history right now, and we want to see all the receipts, everything across the board. I have so much crazy bombshell breaking news stuff to show you today, because what Trump is doing behind the scenes that's not getting a lot of airtime is changing everything, guys. So many people are so much safer. I want to say thank you to all of our members of the channel. Remember, your continued support in our channel, when you're a member or you give a super chat donation, is what we donate to local charities on this channel, live on stream on the 22nd of every single month. You're seeing this guy donate to a local charity. And this month, we are going to be donating to a homeless veterans local charity, guys. And I'm so excited for it. Thank you so much to Tammy Ash and Fred Samuel, who donated, guys, a super chat for that. Show them some love, Tammy Ash and Fred Samuel. We appreciate you so much. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. So, guys, officially, we are right there. We have the investigations, new investigations into the auto pen, Biden's cognitive decline. This is coming from Ed Martin, the U.S. pardon attorney. We also have it where America First Legal has officially sued the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts and Robert John Conrad over their abuse of leaning towards the leftist Democrats' agenda and not allowing Trump to execute his policies. And we also have it where more Doge cuts are going to be going to the House every single day, guys. This is amazing, amazing news. Such breaking news. Let's jump right into it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
Biden world's starting to crack, and the big guys getting the whistle blown on them. Secret Service agents are coming out of the woodwork, saying behind the scenes, Joe was even worse than we thought.
This Secret Service whistleblower actually was assigned to Biden, and he told me that Biden used to get lost in his closet in the mornings in the White House.
Dang.
I mean, the guy literally stumbling around in the White House residence couldn't find his way out of his own closet. The president of the United States. I mean, this is outrageous.
The leader of the free world couldn't find his way out of the closet, and no one noticed.
Wow.
Joe was locked inside while his team was out running the country. The speaker said when he went to the White House, Biden didn't even know what he'd signed off on.
Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed.
Joe Biden didn't even know what the Biden foreign policy was. That's how bad it was. Democrats all knew Joe's brain was fried.
There's a Senator Bannon from Colorado, who went to an event in June 2024 where Biden seemed non-functioning, and he left that event, and this is in the book, thinking this is why our border policy, our immigration policy is such a mess. This guy can't manage the portfolio. There are competing groups within the administration, and he's not engaged for whatever reason, and that's why this policy is such a mess.
Guys, remember, we bring the receipts on this channel. When we show you this right here, everything is coming to fruition of justice, guys. The justice is finally coming to fruition. Trump's DOJ is investigating Biden's pardons and commutations over the use of the auto pen. Ed Martin, the U.S. pardon attorney, wrote that the investigation involves whether Biden was competent and whether others were taking advantage of him through the use of the auto pen. Guys, this is massive. We're finally going to get justice. We're finally going to see that there was a gaslit fake presidency in the past 4 years. And it gets even better, guys, because we're going to get a deeper dive into this right here. America First Legal, led by Stephen Miller, has officially sued Chief Justice John Roberts and Robert John Conrad. Guys, this right here is what we want. Accountability. And what you're about to see next, it just takes it to the next level. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button. Guys, we are finally putting America first.
Didn't know the border was wide open? If he didn't, then who opened it? That's what the hearings will find out. Bill Maher, he's wondering why Democrats even let Joe run.
If you really thought Trump was the existential threat he was, then, to your point earlier, why put up Biden? If it was really that important.
This right here, guys, is so important.
The names of aides he'd worked with for 40 years. Staffers were alarmed and would whisper how the big guy wasn't 100%. They thought it was a miracle that COVID happened and Joe went into the bunker. But Slick Willie swears for 4 years he didn't know a thing.
Did you ever have a moment with him where you thought maybe he was unfit to run for president? No.
I thought he was a good president. The only concern I thought he had to deal with was, could anybody do that job until they were 86? And we'd had several long talks. I had never seen him and walked away thinking he can't do this anymore. He was always on top of his brief.
No way.
You never saw any cognitive decline.
So I didn't know anything about any of this, and I haven't read the book. I saw President Biden not very long ago, and I thought he was in good shape.
We knew Bubba was in great shape when he was president. He never wandered into a closet alone. Clinton's still keeping up with the hoax. Chuck Todd says, no, not so fast.
There's almost an eagerness to blame the press without looking at actual who should be blamed here, and it's the leadership and, frankly, the members of the Biden administration and the leadership of the Democratic Party, who they're the ones that lied. Look, at the end of the day, no journalist is as good as their sources. At the end of the day, the Democratic Party lied to the American people. The leadership of the party lied to the American people. And that's where this scandal should be centered.
Todd says he needed sources to know Biden was cooked. No. He needed a TV.
Guys, let me tell you this. This whole thing is unraveling the Democratic Party. And I have such good news, guys. I just have to show you. Because guess what? While the Democratic Party is continuing to falter, guess what? Just in a continuing surge, President Trump found to hold a 8+ approval rating as of today, 54%. It has increased even more from the Trafalgar Group poll. More people are continuing to support President Trump and his policies because they are common sense. They see that these justices and these judges are one-sided. And that's why, again, too, guess what? President Trump has privately expressed frustrations, particularly with SCOTUS Justice Amy Coney Barrett. And I've seen it, leaked evidence and leaked news from what I see, that he wants to replace at least 1 or 2 judges because of their inaction against all these federal district rogue judges. And guys, I'm telling you, we bring the receipts because right here, America First Legal, led by Stephen Miller, has sued Chief Justice Roberts and Robert J. Conrad. One of Trump's cabinet team has sued the Supreme Court Chief Justice. They said they have been they exceed their judicial authority and engage in executive actions. If we are not seeing history in the making, Trump's not taking it from nobody. He wants to put America first, and that's exactly what he's doing. And at the same time, the Democrats are losing more and more every single day.
This is like the emperor with no clothes. Democrats all just pretended they didn't notice. The whole country knew Joe was exposed, and the Democrat Party's paying a price.
Which party is better described as the party with strong leaders? Look at this.
Wow.
16% of Americans say Democrats, 40% say that of the Republican Party. Now, overall, no party's doing great. Lots of Americans say neither of these qualities apply to either party. But look at how much worse off the Democrats are. A party that gets things done. Only 19% of Americans say that about the Democrats. So among Democrats and Democratic leaners, 32% say Democrats are the party with strong leaders. I mean, of their own kind.
Joe was weak, and the only action the party took in 4 years was whacking him. Besides that, they got nothing done. Clinton's in denial, Barack's in hiding, and Nancy's got a broken hip. The only one still out there is Chuck, but he can't even get his talking points straight.
Not made it clear that we're in Zelensky's corner. I hope on Ukraine the president's not the taco president. Trump always loses the fight. Trump always cops out, is what TACO stands for.
Schumer can't even get through a book tour without getting heckled.
The Jewish deli has a rock thrown through it because it's...
Stop, Schumer! You care more about a fake anti-Semitism crisis than a real Holocaust to the Palestinian people! Come on. There's a real Holocaust happening in Gaza!
You have blood in your hands!
Dang!
A filthy liar! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! You have blood on your hands! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Democrats are yelling the same slogans as terrorists. That's got to drive Chuck nuts.
Guys, again, the Democrats are such in a bad spot because, number one, the whole Israel-Palestine, it's literally imploding the entire Democratic Party. You know what's also imploding them? This news right here. There is 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid right now. They can't win because they want to give amnesty, yet they can't. They're trying to win back their votes for the American people, and all they keep doing is imploding because there is no winning if you don't put America first with the American people having common sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to say thank you so much, April Green, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all pray for April. We'll be praying for you, April, that everything goes good with that surgery. Thank you so much for your support. Pamela Harper, thank you so much for your kindness and support of the channel. Y'all show Pamela some love in the chat, as well as Candace Luther. Welcome to the family. And Kathy Brewer. I love it. Y'all show Kathy, Pamela, and Miss April Green some love in the chat, everybody, because it only gets better from here. If we don't have the breaking news, guys, I hope you got your popcorn. It is so good. Check this out.
The senator doesn't even fight back. He just sits there with his legs crossed. His term's up in 26. It's time for him to go. And everyone knows it.
I don't think that they can continue with the current elites that are in power. I don't think with Pelosi.
They got to go.
They've lost the people.
I just told Chris this. These are culture wars.
Yeah, and the Democrats just don't know how to play culture. And you want to know why they don't know? Because they're not in the culture. They're in Ivy League institutions. They're on the Upper East Side of New York. They're handing out at fancy dinners. They're patting themselves on the back on golf courses. They are not in with the regular people. Now, you could say the same thing about Trump. You could say on paper the exact same thing about Trump and the Republicans, but then why do they keep doing this? Because they are in culture.
Democrats are scrambling to find a new face. And the only thing they can agree on is no more Kamala. Some don't even want her to run for California governor. Tim Walz was out campaigning in South Carolina this weekend, where he quoted MLK Jr., ate fried fish with hot sauce, and thanked blacks. And then Tampon said Democrats need to be bigger bullies.
I'm getting called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Oh.
Wow.
The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully, and to stop it. And
you know, it's so insane to think that we're still getting talking points from Tampon Tim over here, who's trying to say to the entire country and lead the Democratic Party when nobody wanted him in there. He was a last-minute choice, one of the worst picks for VPs that we've ever seen before, one of the lowest ratings we've ever seen before, and it's getting to the point now where there's no leader of the Democratic Party, and all we're looking at is that they are just talking. Nothing, they're not saying anything, they're just talking. And this is the thing, I want to show you this because we call out everybody. Lindsey Graham is now under investigation for all of his trips to the Ukraine. Guys, Lindsey Graham's a Republican. I told you, we call out everybody on this channel. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. We want to put America first. And check out this. Lindsey Graham just approved a $411,000 hotel bill. I ain't never been to a dang hotel where it costs this much. Normally mine costs $120. $411,000 hotel bill in Ukraine was approved. And guess who was approved by? Lindsey Graham, now under investigation for why. Look at this. We bring the receipts, guys. Top left-hand corner, usaspending.gov. We show you all the things that there is corruption at every single level in the Republican Party, rhinos in the Democratic Party, and that's why what you're about to see next is so important, because there is a new found leadership of MAGA that is coming in to clean out the deep state. Check this out.
And there's, the America First, the populist nationalists, the MAGA, all this. We know it's something that's a borning. But these are pretty traditional, pretty big names in the traditional Republican Party. So how are we going to, do we have a deep enough bench to get judges, to get lawyers to stay? Last time I looked, we're barely hanging on by our fingertips over at Justice, and we're taking our best guy, Emil Bovee, and we're putting him on some federal court because we're short of judges, and we're certainly short of manpower in DOJ. So how are we going to get enough bodies that are kind of MAGA lawyers, since so much of the looks like the legal establishment is not with us, sir?
Well, I think that...
Guys, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, if we are not getting accountability, man, I love this, guys.
The legal establishment is going to move with the politics. And I just did a trip to Israel with several federal judges and a bunch of lawyers. And I'll tell you, the bench is deep, and it's very good for the Supreme Court, for the federal circuit courts. The difference this time
is
that President Trump is going to rely on people who are more based, like the Article 3 project, than the establishment people of the first term. You were there, Steve. You remember what happened. President Trump had to prove something to Republicans back in 2016. He had to prove that it was actually conservative, that it was actually acceptable to the establishment legal community. And President Trump more than delivered. He set records for the number of judges that he appointed. He shifted the Supreme Court and the lower federal courts significantly to the right. And he's going to build on that in his second term with even more bold, even more fearless judges. I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I broke every piece of china that I could get my hands on to confirm judges in the first term. It's a lot different this time in the sense that we broke all the china. We don't need to worry about blue slips for federal circuit judges anymore, where the home state senators get a veto for federal appellate judges. We don't have to worry about the 30-hour rule for the district court judges. It's down to 2 hours. We have a different Senate Republican majority this time. We're not hanging by a thread with people like John McCain and Jeff Flake and other webs who were anti-Trump. And we don't have the Russian collusion hoax, which cast significant doubts, even among Republican senators, on President Trump in the first term. And most importantly, President Trump doesn't need to prove anything to these D.C. establishment types. He has delivered, and these D.C. establishment types, they abandoned President Trump after President Trump gave them picked their judges in the first term, and many of them were very good. Some of them were bad, but guess what? President Trump doesn't need the D.C. legal establishment anymore, especially after the D.C. legal establishment abandoned President Trump during 4 years of lawfare, and they haven't said much about the judicial sabotage that's occurred since January 20th. So
Boom.
I would say to the D.C. legal establishment.
Guys, and you want to know, guys, how serious Trump is about this? That his boy, Stephen Miller, has now, from American First Legal, has now sued Chief Justice John Roberts of the Supreme Court, baby. Robert J. Conrad, who is a director of the administrative office of the U.S. courts. The lawsuit aims to place the Judicial Conference and Administrative Office under presidential oversight, alleging they exceed their judicial authority and engage in executive actions. Guys, the AFL, which is the American First Legal, claims these bodies align with Democrats' efforts targeting conservative justices Thomas and Alito, undermining judicial duties. Trump, FAFO, everybody. Right now, you're seeing, when was the last time we've ever seen a president or one of his cabinet team sue the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? This is big, guys. If this isn't breaking news, I don't know what is. But what we're seeing here is accountability. When we can see that the bodies are aligning with Democratic efforts, what do we have to do? We have to sue them, and we have to hold them accountable, and that's what you just heard, that Trump is not with. It doesn't matter anymore. There's no more Russian hoax. There's no more January 6th, riot, all this stuff, insurrection, none of it. It's all gone. And now we're moving forward with putting America first and with actual justice for we the people. Check this out.
Go to hell.
Are you concerned? Because the reason I wanted to bring this up to you in this article, this was about tariffs. Now, obviously, a big part of that was calling on his commander-in-chief powers under Article 2 about this invasion, which the courts dismissed immediately. Are you concerned that the same group that wrote this amicus brief could be out there as on TV, as surrogates, writing more pieces when it comes down to these huge questions that you and I agree have to be resolved by the end of June on his Article 2 power as commander-in-chief? Things like habeas corpus, like shipping these invaders, the bad guys, back to Central America and Venezuela, sir.
I'm not concerned about the people who signed that amicus brief. Those are the Republicans and name only. I don't even know if many of them consider themselves Republicans anymore, but these are the same people who sabotaged President Trump during the lawfare. They said that the President of the United States is not immune from prosecution for his official acts. These people have been Trump deranged for many, many years.
Mike, where do people go if they want to get involved with Article 3? Where do they go? Where do they go right now? Because, man, we got a fight on our hands big time across the board. I think it's almost up to 200 cases been filed
right
to
here,
try to
guys.
slow President Trump down. Where do folks go?
Especially with this action center with the War Room Posse is so effective.
So your theory is that they move with the politics. So if we put our muscle and show that we can get a couple of these judges across and support more MAGA folks at DOJ, FBI, et cetera, that the judges will follow because they don't have any political courage. They'll go which way the wind blows, and they understand the MAGA movement's here permanently. They'll start coming our way. Is that your theory of the case?
100%. We did this on the lawfare. We did this to confirm President Trump's cabinet and sub-cabinet picks like Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, these bold, fearless reformers to the cabinet and sub-cabinet. We're going to put these same type of lawyers on the federal bench, bold and fearless people like Emil Bove, who put it all on the line for our Constitution. And now he's going to be an outstanding Third Circuit judge. There's no shortage of bold and fearless lawyers, and we're going to make damn sure that they're considered and picked through the Article 3 project, working in a supporting role with President Trump and his team.
Let's go, baby, guys. And I'm telling you, look, we bring the receipts, everybody. Trump-aligned group sues Chief Justice John Roberts in an effort to restrict power of the courts. Guys, look, this is we bring the receipts for everybody. We want to show you that right now, Trump's cabinet team is doing so much more than Congress ever did. There's not one thing that Congress has put forward to restrict these crazy federal district judges that are progressive, that have been handpicked by individual AGs from these Democratic cities to try to combat Trump's executive policies. But guess what? Stephen Miller with America First Legal is suing the Chief Justice John Roberts, and it's about dang time that we are seeing accountability at the highest level. Mama Sage, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Mama Sage some love in the chat, as well as Deanna Scott, 10 months being a member on the channel. I love it. Love you, Deanne. Hope you're doing well. And Marilee Williams, thank you so much for the super chat. And Electronica said, why don't we just ask Biden who he pardoned? I love it. Y'all show Electronica, Deanna Scott, and Mama Sage, and Marilee Williams some love in the chat, because I'm telling you, we are calling out everybody. You're seeing it right here, guys. The next thing that we're about to see is so big because, again, full transparency, guys. That's what it's about, is full transparency. We're bringing it to you. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, I love this. Check this out.
You know, for everybody at home, I should say that you, Senator, put your money where your mouth. The tech manufacturing bill, that's the CHIPS Act, $300 billion, you voted against that. And then the Inflation Reduction Act, of course, didn't do anything to address inflation. You voted against that. So you're pretty serious about this stuff. How is right now not a good time for a middle-class tax cut?
Joe Biden averaged deficits of 1.9 trillion. We're looking in the next 10 years averaging 2.2, another $22 trillion out of the debt. This is no time for additional tax cuts. Again, I don't want to increase people's taxes. I would just extend current tax law. I don't have a problem with that. But again, we need to get serious about this. And listen, President Trump reached out to me today. We had a very good conversation. In the end, we all want to achieve the same thing.
So wait, what does that mean? What did that conversation look like?
I'm telling you guys, we show you
obviously
everything.
He's urging me to get behind the bill, and I urged him to let's take a look at the detail. Let me work with Kevin Hassett and Scott Bessent. Let's look at the numbers, because I think that was missing from the House debate. I think we'll do that. So again, I want to see him succeed. Rand Paul wants to see him succeed. This isn't something like people digging their heels in because we don't like President Trump or don't want to see him succeed.
Yeah.
We want him to succeed. But again, we're concerned about mortgaging our kids' future.
Do you think you vote in the end for this bill?
I can't predict that right now. I think we'll come to some.
But Senator, think about it like this. This is not, we don't have to get to 60, okay? The number is 51. You've got 53 in the Senate. So you could be the vote that tanks the new president's first major piece of legislation. I'll ask again. Obviously, you're going to have these conversations with the House and your colleagues in the Senate. But do you think you'll vote against Donald Trump's first major piece of legislation?
Wow.
Could you see yourself doing that?
Without substantial changes, I won't vote for this bill, but I'm confident that I'm hopeful that we'll have enough good changes in here and make sure that this is a multi-step process, because we're not going to get the kind of spending restraint in this first bill. It's just impossible. We don't have the time to go line by line to do the forensic audit, which is what's going to be required. We need a process to achieve and maintain a pre-pandemic spending reduction, deficit reduction. Hopefully we can work with this economic team and hammer something out. Because again,
I should say, Senator, this bill, according to the House, and fine, I understand that that might be biased, but according to the House, this bill will do more to reduce the deficit than any legislation in recent history. Do you dispute that?
Yeah. Again, we're going to extend current tax law, which I agree with. So that's removing about $3.7 trillion that are going to have to be replaced by growth. That's always uncertain. And again, the spending cut is pretty meager. And it's so much in the out years too. So we spend more early on the border defense, and the savings come out in the out years when you have a new administration.
No, I know it. And just in the interest of time, I don't mean to cut you off, but 2018, those first Trump tax cuts go into effect. The economy grows at 3%. So how do you justify not cutting the taxes of middle-class Americans, hardworking, working-class Americans that put Donald Trump in the White House, not doing that right now? If the proof's in the pudding, pre-pandemic, the economy's growing at 3%.
I would have done that already. I would have just extended current tax law. I would have needed nothing for that.
Well, the president doesn't want to. He wants a new tax cut for the middle class. So do you want that out of the bill?
Well, I wouldn't mind leaving that for later negotiation to keep pressure on reducing spending. Yeah,
guys, this is so massive right here, guys. One big beautiful bill benefits tax cuts for the middle class, no tax tips on tips or overtime, border security funding, deportation funding, MAGA kids savings account, and the Pentagon defense funding. Guys, you want to see what policies, how they actually affect people? Trump is continuing to surge. President Trump just found to have held another 8+ approval rating as of today. 54% approval rating as president. Guys, this is one of the highest evers for President Trump, but also for any president. More than half of the country says, Trump, keep doing what you're doing, brother. You are killing it. And at the same time, too, what we're also doing is we're also holding these people accountable, guys, because again, I got to show you. Right now, the Trump's DOJ is investigating Biden's pardons and commutations over the use of the auto pen. Ed Martin, who is the U.S. pardon attorney, wrote that the investigation involves whether Biden was competent, whether others were taking advantage of him through the use of the auto pen. Guys, this is happening. It's finally happening. And what I love is that we are trying to do so many things at one time that we can't. It's hard to give the focus on all the best breaking news, but we got to do it. And that's why you come here, and we want to bring you all the receipts to actually show you what the heck is actually going on in our country.
That'd be my negotiating stance.
So you'll vote no on this bill if that remains in the bill? Is that what you're saying?
Those tax cuts do not promote growth. They just rob the federal government of revenue. Again, I don't want to fund the deep state either, but we've got to get serious about reducing these deficits.
Well, yeah, those 27 tax cuts expire what? In December. If Congress doesn't do anything, and December's right around the corner. So we got to do something. And this is the president's first major piece of legislation. The Republicans never fall in line. And that's the way Republicans are, and that's what makes the party great. But Joe Biden got everything he wanted.
Yes, he did.
In his first 300 days in the White House. And that's what he's trying to fall back on as part of his legacy right now. So I'll just ask you one more time. Do you think you'll vote against this bill? Let's say the tax cut's still in there. Do you vote against this?
again, I would extend current tax law without, I would take that off the table, automatic tax increase. Again, I'll work with the president. Happy to work with him and his economic team.
Okay. All right.
Guys, I'm telling you, it's getting rough. But again, too, this is what we need. Man, I love this so much right now. Right now, remember, the Republicans, there's so many rhinos, guys. I hope that you see this with what I'm showing you in the context of the receipts. The Biden administration funneled nearly $100 billion to woke NGOs in the final days of his term. $1.3 billion per day to NGOs after Kamala lost. As soon as she lost, the very next day, $1.3 billion over here, $1.3 billion over here. Where did the oversight? Where were the Republicans? Where was the news at? Where was any of these people? Rand Paul, all of them. Why is it that whenever the Democrats want to do something and funnel money out of the government, nothing is ever said? But whenever Republicans are trying to get things through, everybody starts breaking rank. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to say thank you so much, Della Cole, for the super chat. Said it's about time something gets done about these rogue judges. And thank you so much, Gene Kopech. Said I have no doubt Chief Justice Roberts will perjure himself after taking the oath to tell the truth. Y'all show Gene some love in the chat as well as Della Cole. And guys, Tiffany Yen, thank you so much for gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships. If you got a free membership from Tiffany, show Tiffany some love in the chat. Growing the family, guys. We're bringing you the receipts of what is actually happening, guys. I love this, what you're about to see, because there's so much corruption, and we're finally revealing it, and they're under oath. They perjured themselves. They're going to jail. Check this out.
Madam Secretary, I want to welcome, by the way, I want to ask you about the TRIO program that has been mentioned, and its sister program, Gear Up. We spend $1.858 billion a year on TRIO.
Yes.
That's $1,580 million a year. Is my math right?
I think that's right, sir.
And how long have we been spending $1,580 million a year on this program?
I'm not sure of the total length of time of the program.
More than 10 years?
Yes.
Ooh. So that's over $1 trillion we've spent on this program. And in this program, this $1 trillion we've spent, we give this money, as I appreciate it, to colleges and universities to encourage poor kids to go to college. Is that right?
To provide some of those kids who have not yet been exposed to what it takes to get ready to go to college.
Okay. To encourage poor kids to go to college, right?
Yes.
Okay. And given that we've spent $1 trillion, how many poor kids who otherwise wouldn't have gone to college have gone to college and graduated?
A significant number, I would imagine.
How many?
I don't know exactly.
Isn't that a question we should ask?
I think so, and I'll be happy to get back to you with that answer. You know, the other thing about the...
But wait, Madam Secretary, I'm not fussing at you. Do we have that number?
I don't think so.
I'm looking, we don't have it.
I don't think so, because there is
Well, if we were... So we've spent $1 trillion, and we've given this money to universities, and they're supposed to encourage poor kids to go to college. But we don't know how many poor kids went to college who otherwise wouldn't have gone to college and graduated, right?
Correct.
Well, what do your audits show?
Well, that's the issue, and I mentioned it when I was...
Are you able to audit?
We're not. We're not able to audit, and there are constraints against the TRIO program for its accountability. The other issue with...
Well, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't have much time. So we spent $1 trillion. We gave it to the colleges. We said encourage poor kids to go to college. we don't know how many kids went to college because you don't have the authority to audit. How do you know these universities are not just using the money to operate instead of encouraging poor kids to go to college?
I'm not sure.
You don't know how.
No.
Because you can't audit.
Correct.
Guys, do we not have the most corrupt, fraudulent system of government? We don't know anything. Doge was sent in to go in and investigate and audit the actual federal government to figure out where the money's going. They were stopped by how many federal judges, by how many Democrats said, no, we can't do that. We can't allow them to audit the government. Who do they think they are? Guys, Trump's policies are winning so much right now, and it is mind-blowing that we have to have people that are the heads of departments of the federal government, and they can't do their dang jobs because our government is so corrupt and fraud. If you appreciate this exposure, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, let me tell you this. If Trump's policies didn't work, why did we just receive U.S. collected a record-breaking $22.3 billion in tariff revenue in May? Guys, Trump knows what he's doing. He knows the corruption. He sees the corruption, and now he's exposing it all. And then I get to show you how screwed up and ripped off the American people have been by these corrupt elitists in Washington, D.C. who are finally getting exposed.
You understand hope is not a strategy.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you told the average American, we just spent $1 trillion of your money and we gave it to colleges and universities and we said encourage poor kids to go to college, but we don't know how many kids went to college who otherwise wouldn't have gone and who graduated. You understand the average American would ask us what planet we just parachuted in from, right?
That's right. You know, Senator, if I may, there's one other issue on the TRIO program. What we have found
I'm going to run out of time. Oh, you can make it fast.
Take your time back then.
Let me ask you a question about our skirmish with Harvard. And I don't want to get under the merits. President Trump has said that Harvard is violating federal law and he's withholding their money. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Harvard has responded, we've never violated federal law, but if we did, we give you a pinky promise that we won't do it again. Is that right?
Yes.
And then President Trump said, okay, no offense, but, you know, I just want to be sure. So why doesn't Harvard, I will give Harvard the authority to appoint a monitor, pick whomever they want. The federal government has the right to veto the pick. So if they pick their brother-in-law, that wouldn't be fair. And Harvard said, no, you just have to trust us. You have to accept their pinky promise. Is that basically what's going on?
Well, and not only that, but Harvard did respond to our request for negotiations with a lawsuit.
Well, but,
so we're in the throes of litigation.
If Harvard would just agree to a monitor, that would solve the problem, wouldn't it?
Might serve part of it. The provost is what vice provost that we've asked that would come on to be one of the monitors on that situation.
I'm way over. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Guys, again, do we not expose everybody on this dang channel, guys? Even with these schools, these colleges, you can't do audits. The money, trillions of dollars flows out of the federal government. No accountability, no monitoring whatsoever. That's why what you're seeing is super important. Trump-aligned group sues Chief Justice Roberts in an effort to restrict the power of the courts. Trump is fed up, guys. Right now, this is breaking that America First Legal, led by Stephen Miller, has sued Chief Justice John Roberts and Robert J. Conrad. Why? Because these bodies align with Democratic efforts targeting conservative justices Thomas and Alito, undermining judicial duties. We are seeing the corruption firsthand. Harvard has corruption, the college. We go in and we say, hey, we want to look at your stuff. They said no. we don't want you to look at our stuff, but we promise if we broke the law, we're not going to do it again. And then they also respond with a lawsuit. These colleges getting billions of dollars of taxpayer funds to do whatever they want with it, but yet they don't want any oversight. This is our hard-earned money that we are finally, guys, having people be held accountable. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to say thank you so much, Jeff Palfreyman, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Jeff some love in the chat, as well as Della Cole for gifting 1 TrueLife News membership, and What's New for gifting 10 TrueLife News memberships. Thank you so much for growing our family here at TrueLife News. Remember that the memberships, guys, the super chats go to local charities that we donate to on the 22nd of every single month. This matters, guys. And I'm so thankful because, again, too, as we're continuing to grow the family, we're continuing to grow our giving, and we are bringing the receipts, guys. This is huge. Y'all show Della Cole What's New some love in the chat, as well as Jeff. And thank you so much to Nani Obiz 21, who said happy to have found our channels. Thank you so much. Y'all show Nani some love in the chat, and I'll respond to that, Nani. Guys, y'all are so amazing, but what I love too is that this amazing news that we're getting to show you every single day, Trump knows what he's doing. Look at this. Murder rates are plummeting under President Trump across major cities. All these are blue cities. 63% decline in Denver, 31% in Baltimore, 34% in St. Louis, 36% in New Orleans, New York, 26%. Why? Well, guess what? They're also taking out all the criminal illegal aliens. The people that broke the law to get in here were criminals, and then they also continue to break the law. Is this not an America First country that you want to live in? And what I love too is it just keeps getting better. Check this out.
Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Ohio Congressman, and our good friend Jim Jordan. Mr. Chairman, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here in person. So we know the Senate's going to make changes. That's what they do. Yeah. But how much is too much for the House?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully, don't make too many changes because I think it's a pretty darn good bill. I said this on the House floor. You know, it's a good bill because the Democrats hate it, and they hate it because it embraces fundamental Republican principles. It says we're going to cut taxes, we let families keep more of their money. Fundamental principle of our party. It says that we're going to allocate resources to keep the border secure. What the election was about. It says if you're an able-bodied adult and you're getting taxpayer money, you should have to work. For goodness sake, that treats taxpayers with respect and, frankly, is good for that individual, good for that individual who's stuck in our safety net system. And then finally, the part that I really like as well is it gives school choice to parents. Important part of the tax provision in the legislation. So I think it's a good bill. I wish we had achieved a little more savings, but overall I think it's good. I hope the Senate doesn't change it a whole lot. Maybe if they can achieve a few more savings. I know Senator Johnson wants to do that. So if we can get that, that's great. But let's stay mostly where it is because I do think it's a delicate balance. And as you know, we passed it by one vote.
So we know that deadline is looming, right? That July 4th deadline. Is that a realistic goal in your opinion?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, because, even though it's been in the House this, longer time, it's not like the Senate hasn't been watching what's going on, hasn't weighed in, and there haven't been some meetings. And, of course, Leader Thune is talking with the president, talking with the speaker. So I do think it can happen by then. I know that's what the president wants. That's what I think Leader Thune wants, certainly what the House wants. And, frankly, I think it's good for the country because I do think this legislation will spark greater economic growth. And the numbers are already looking good. You saw, like in the last week, consumer confidence is up, inflation is down, the unemployment's low, so things are looking good. This bill, I think, helps get even stronger economic growth, which we certainly need.
No, absolutely. So I want to shift gears here a little bit. Your counterparts in the Senate Judiciary Committee holding a hearing today on the judges and all of their nationwide injunctions. I know that's something, Senator Cruz, you are very passionate about. I mean, is this something where the Supreme Court is going to have to step in and kind of rein in these judges? Or do you think it's something where Congress may have to say, enough is enough, guys?
I think we should look at every avenue possible to try to stop these judges from acting like they're the President of the United States. So, as you know, we passed legislation which says if a federal district judge issues an injunction, the injunction doesn't apply nationwide. It simply applies to the parties in the case in that respective jurisdiction.
Guys, and remember, that whole bill to be passed is in the big, beautiful bill. for these district rogue judges to not be able to actually do what? Control the sitting president. No more TROs. No more injunctions coming from the federal district court judges that can be issued nationwide. Why do you think Trump wants it to be passed so badly, guys? And again, what's also in there is right here. We know right now, and it's happening, guys. This isn't it could happen, or no. It is happening. 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid, receiving Medicare, guys. This is what that new big, beautiful bill also takes out. I mean, guys, it is getting so bad right now. The Democrats are so pathetic right now. And I hope you appreciate this, guys. If you do, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Check this out. Alina Habba, one of Trump's pit bulls. Remember when this mayor of Newark actually went through the gates and tried to push his way through and go see those illegal aliens, criminals in the ICE detention centers? He is essentially suing Alina Habba now, essentially saying that as a result of the false arrest, the plaintiff suffered reputational harm, emotional distress, and other damages. This is how pathetic our mayors of our country have gotten, where they literally broke the law. They 100% did something they weren't supposed to do for illegal aliens, and yet, whenever they're actually held accountable, now they're trying to put these frivolous lawsuits. This is why getting these rogue judges in check with this big, beautiful bill is so important.
We think that's just good common sense. In fact, even Justice Kagan, not a conservative justice, even she said a few years ago, we need to rein this in. It's getting out of control. And it seems like, if you look at the numbers, disproportionately has impacted executive actions that President Trump has taken. So we passed it out of committee, we passed it out of the House. Best thing the Senate can do is pass the bill and put it on the president's desk and deal with it. But short of that, you're probably right. This thing's going to get settled probably in the Supreme Court, like a lot of other issues that you see in the court system right now. Yeah.
I want to pivot to President Biden. I know that your fellow Congressman James Comer is launching an investigation into this massive cover-up, as to who knew what and when in regards to his mental decline. I know he wants to subpoena some of those that were closest to him, again, to see were we being lied to as the American people. What do you think we will learn from this investigation, if anything?
I think we already know. I mean, I think it's worthwhile what Chairman Comer's doing. But I read Tapper's book last week. I had to fly to Iowa and we were helping some colleagues in Iowa and on the flight back and forth. Everyone knew. It's funny. I think the big takeaway for me is the press. I mean, you guys were reporting the facts, but the mainstream press was telling us, oh no, everything is fine. I always say that the left has a template that they follow. The left will tell a lie. Joe Biden's just fine. The left will tell a lie. Mainstream media will report the lie. Big tech will amplify the lie. And then when you tell the truth, they call you a racist or some other name and attack you. And then pretty soon your position is proven right, but by that point they're on to the next lie. But the country understood it. So that to me is the big takeaway. When you read the book, there was a handful of people around the president and the first lady who sort of controlled it all. Zients and McClain and Ricchetti and these key people around the president, according to Tapper's book. So maybe it'd be good to hear from them. But I think some of them will claim executive privilege and won't want to talk. But we'll see what kind of information we get. But I think the country's already figured it out and had figured it out.
We all have eyes, we all have ears, we all saw it.
Guys, how bad is that when it comes to the country already knows you lied to us. Trump's new pardon attorney, Ed Martin, is scrutinizing Biden's 11th hour pardons, and we're this close, everybody, this close to making them fully void because he was not in his capacity. We know that there was 6 people that executed 8 huge executive actions using Biden's auto pin without his knowing. That's what Comer and them unveiled. And now the investigation is there. They're finally doing it, and it is actually taking some traction, and I love this. Fred Samuel, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Fred some love in the chat. Said this is why we're in so much debt. We are continuing to see more and more spending that some of these rhinos, guys, do not want to pull back on. And that's why I want to show you when it comes to Trump's pit bulls, this is the guy who is literally suing the actual entire, not the entire, but the Supreme Court Justice Roberts. This guy is suing him. And what I love is that it doesn't matter how many times we see these rogue judges try to stop Trump. Trump is winning over 90% of his actions with his policies. Listen to this.
Is how the president spent the last 4 years planning and preparing and getting ready for this moment so that when he took that oath of office on January 20th, he knew exactly what he wanted to do from the moment he stepped into that Oval Office. He knew what bill he wanted to pass through Congress. He knew what he wanted to do on the border. He knew what he wanted to do on trade. He knew what he wanted to do on foreign policy, on military policy, on reforming the bureaucracy, and on fighting and draining the swamp. So we've seen more action and more activity in the last 4 months than any new administration has ever put into effect.
Let me ask you about President Trump, because as you say, you've been around for 10 years. You've seen him through a lot. What has changed about President Trump and what hasn't changed about President Trump and the way he operates in the White House?
So President Trump, I've been so blessed, so fortunate to be able to watch him as a leader up front, close and personal for 10 years. As again, he built the MAGA movement from nothing, from scratch. You know, in 2016, when he first ran, I think, I don't want to insult anybody, but I think pretty much every other Republican in that race was some version of an establishment Republican.
Yes.
That's all the Republican Party had to offer, was establishment Republicanism, status quo. President Trump blew up that whole entire failed system, and for the first time in our lifetimes, gave the American people a different choice, something other than the status quo, something other than, and I know it's a harsh word to use, but we were on a glide path to national suicide. Between open borders, between uncontrolled bureaucracy, between our total surrender on trade and economic policy, the throttling of American energy, the destruction of our culture, our education system, and the destruction of the rule of law, we were going to become a failed nation. And he changed all of that. And he offered people not just a choice, but hope. For the first time in their lives, they had hope that somebody in this system would fight for them. Nobody would ever choose to endure the 10 years of communist persecution that he, his family, his business associates, and his friends were subjected to. Watching him now be able to outmaneuver the left every single day, be 10 steps ahead of them at all times, just demonstrates how much they miscalculated by coming after him, because they've now made him far stronger than they could have ever possibly imagined. I've never seen...
Guys, again, Trump's playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. This is some of the biggest news to hit. Guys, the Trump-aligned group sues Chief Justice Roberts in effort to restrict power of the courts. The guy that you're hearing speak is the guy who's leading it. America First Legal, suing the Chief Justice Roberts, and this is what I love. The pit bulls are not afraid anymore. They are putting America first. They're not afraid to sue, and they are helping America win again. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Any leader more determined and resolved to do the right thing, whenever anyone brings him a problem set, he always just says, we need to do what's right for the American people. I don't care what they say about me. I don't care what they do to me. I don't care what I have to endure. We're going to do what's right for the American people.
Yes.
And that's what you're seeing every single day. The first term of President Trump was the most successful presidency that we have ever seen. But the second term is defying even the highest expectations the American people have ever had.
What do you think happens to the Democrats as a whole? They took things way too far on a lot of fronts. Where do you think their party goes from here?
Part of the reason why they have resorted to lawfare as effectively their entire political strategy is because they have an unsellable ideology. In other words, they're committed in a popular democracy. They're committed to a series of beliefs that are like 10, 20% in support. So they have to be corrupt to get anything done. Men and women's sports, as President says, completely open borders to the worst criminals on the face of the earth. People guilty of child predation, murder, even people who are guilty of violent torture and beating and killing and just senseless slaughtering. And they're let in without limitation for 4 years, right? A political party that's committed to raising taxes on everybody, right? A political party that is against the police, that wants to defund the police.
Right here, guys, we go back to it. This is the Democratic Party is the party that doesn't want we, the American people, to see the transparency of government. They don't want us to have somebody audit the federal government. They don't want us to look into the books. They don't want us to see where all the money from the NGOs, from the USAID, from all this happening. This right here, this picture Musk steals, exemplifies the corruption and fraud that the Democratic Party has become as elitists in Washington, D.C. that want to tell you what to do, want to control your lives, want to tell you to get the vaccine, tell you to stay at home, not to make money for your family, but yet they still get paid. They still get to refuse the vaccine. They still get to do whatever they want. Always a we're better than you mentality, guys, and they're finally getting exposed. I love it.
In your community that wants to let rioters run free, and the punching bag for all of this are the hardworking American citizens. The people who do it right, they're the ones who are getting the brunt of it every day, economically, socially, culturally. So it's an unwinnable political message. If we can accomplish these reforms to just have a free and fair society, the Democrats are doomed. They cannot compete or operate in a fair system, which is why they have to rig it.
What are you guys doing to ensure that a future administration doesn't come in and just dismantle everything that you've worked so hard to do?
That's super important.
Well, it's hard for me to think that far into the future because every day is a lifetime right now. You know, we wake up in the morning under President Trump's direction, and he wants to know, what are you doing to reform higher education? What are you doing to fight violent crime? What are you doing to make our trading system fair and deal with the theft of American jobs? What are you doing to make sure that our government is responsive and accountable to the people and isn't a swampy, horrible, terrible bureaucracy? So, you know, we're so much focused on solving these crises and challenges of today. But I think my best answer to your question is that because President Trump built a movement, an entire movement, there are now a whole generation of leaders to carry on what he started and what he created.
What does restoring the republic look like? I know that's basically the overall goal over this 4-year term for President Trump. You're a big player in that. So what does that mean, and how do you restore the republic?
When President Trump talks about restoring the republic, he means restoring a country in which the fundamental loyalty and allegiance we have is to the American citizen who does everything right. That's why the system has been such a travesty for so long, is that the people who they work hard in a job that perhaps is thankless. Nobody's appreciating them. They earn enough money, barely, to support their family, to take care of their kids, to take care of their loved ones. They follow every rule. They pay every tax, no matter how outrageous. And they look around them, and everybody else that isn't doing it right is getting rewarded. So the scammers and grifters in Washington, D.C. are getting rich. The illegal aliens are getting rich. The criminals are getting away with everything. So this person thinks, I've done everything right in my life, and the entire system serves everyone at my expense. Restoring the republic means that the citizen, the law-abiding, God-fearing, honest citizen, is at the center of the government's priorities and allegiance. And that's what President Trump is doing with his leadership each and every day.
Much more
I love it, guys, because again, too, we're showing everything that's going on. There is people that are now calling for Lindsey Graham either to be removed from Congress or arrested for this right here. So Lindsey Graham has spent over $25 million of taxpayer monies to go stay in Ukraine at luxury hotels. And this is a receipt for the last one he just did, $411,000. Guess who approved it? Himself. So these politicians who have been using taxpayer dimes to do whatever, and you know that some of them are getting kickbacks. Listen to this, guys, because it is getting so serious. People are fed up with all the corruption happening on both sides of the aisle. Listen to this.
Whether it's true that Ukraine didn't give us a heads up and that the United States wasn't involved in the planning or execution, I don't know that. I know what the White House has said. I don't necessarily believe it. I don't know that it's not true either. But I don't understand how you could want to jail a U.S. senator because he's saying something you don't like. Because that sounds like the worst of the deep state.
No, it's absolutely what he's doing over there right now is stirring it up. He's giving the Ukrainians,
but it's not illegal.
He's giving the Ukrainians false hope. He's giving Ukrainians false hope that we're there to support them on engaging Russia in a kinetic conflict, and we are not. President Trump,
so maybe he's
parts
wrong.
of President Trump. Hey,
so maybe
Lindsey
he's wrong.
Graham,
But what do you say? Throw him in jail.
Two things ought to happen. Either cancel his passport and don't let him back in the country, or put him in jail if he comes back. Lindsey Graham is stirring it up right now.
You hear this, guys? I'm telling you, and this is one of Trump's closest people, Steve Bannon, working with Mike Davis. All these people are fed up with the corruption, and they want to see all of this rhinos be kicked out. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching. Thank you so much for your support. To all of our viewers and subscribers, we couldn't thank you enough for helping us grow our family. We're so close to 200,000 subscribers. And remember, we're here to serve you. So if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button so that we can take care of you every day with the breaking news. Guys, so much is going on right now. I just want to give some love because we have such a faithful community that supports our channels, shares our videos, likes our videos, but also partners with us in our giving. And remember, on the 22nd of every single month, when you're a member or you give a super chat, we donate this money. And last month, we donated over $3,000 live on stream to a local children's home. This month, we're going to be donating to a local homeless veterans place. And this is what we want to do. I want this channel to be known for giving. And that's why, again, we bust our butt to give you the best show every day. And we want to make sure that you're getting fully informed and you're getting the breaking news. I want to give some love to those that are given today. April Green, OG of the channel. Thank you so much. Pamela Harper. Thank you so much for your support. Candace Luther, Kathy Brewer, Mama Sage, Deanna Scott, OG of the channel. Marilee Williams, Electronica Mom, thank you so much. Tiffany Yen, thank you for gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships. Gene Copage, OG of the channel. Thank you so much, Gia Paul Freeman, Della Cole, Nanio Biz 21, Fred Samuel. Thank you so much, Tiffany Yen. Thank you so much, Della Cole, Fred Samuel, and Texas Proud for giving the super chat. I love it. Guys, y'all are so kind. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you so much, guys. Remember, we're here to serve you and we're just growing and growing our community so much. And we can't thank you enough. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.